Well, welcome Ian Nelson. We are here together at the Solar Heating and Cooling Conference in Santiago de Chile, and you are CEO of a Chilean company which is called Energia Llaima. And as such, you really hit the headlines of the world by having the second largest, in the meantime, industrial solar heat plant under your regime. You own it and you operate it, and already since 2013. How did you succeed to sign up this project at the beginning?
It's a good question. It's a mixture of things, by the way. Yeah? We made our homework. Well, by the way, thank you. We made our homework, really studying if there was a market. So we were knocking the doors to the industrial potential customers, and we had also looked for technology all over the world, which would be suitable for this application. And basically, it happened that in this particular case, the mining company was also looking for a renewable solution, and they wanted a renewable solution, but more achievable, meaning affordable, meaning competitive with what they had, which was diesel. In that case, they made a contract with Roberto Roman, which we know, has been the exactly, he's been chairing this conference, and Roberto actually helped them doing the making a bid and convincing them that this was possible. And actually, we had some chance to, Roberto has also heard that we were willing to sell the energy in this case, because he saw and he realized there also was a huge risk on the business model. So basically, he convinced them that they could bid for it, and with a sort of low risk, and depending on the outcome, they were going to, to hire our contract, and that's what happened. And actually, so we participated in that bid. And we were the best, the best offer they got. So that's how we got to be over there.
Which is actually an amazing story, because you did at the same time 30 megawatt. And everybody usually who tries something first, does it in small scale, test it first. So how are your experiences looking back at the last 6 years on that, jumping into being the largest operator of a ship plant in the middle of the desert?
There is a reason, though, because again, on the part of the homework we did before, we realized that we're huge economies of scale. Basically, yes, you have the cost of the panels and all the pumps and everything, but then you have also labor, and then making all the costs and breakdown. We realized that if we went big, we could be very cost effective. Obviously. Yes, and then although we had the challenge to convince the investors and to convince the banks, okay, that was also a challenge. So we had to convince the three parties, obviously, the future customers, investors, and again the bank. And I guess we did it. Well, that was the challenge, okay. But if we had gone, I think, smaller, we wouldn't have been able not also to acquire these economies of scale and get a good price per megawatt hour, but also to be able to be in such a scale that we could encompass or grab and solve all the other issues on the system integration with the mining company, okay? Because you were small, you were always going to be the small guy that, they will neglect us and say, it doesn't work on this and that, and they will never. It's very difficult to work with the mining industry and to get their attention. So basically, when you are at this scale, well, now you're part of the process, see? So you have their attention. So I think that if we hadn't been done this way, on this business model, at this scale, I suspect we wouldn't be speaking now.
Well, interesting. So you really supply today 80% of this energy demand, and I think you have very strict contracts with the mining company. You deliver temperature at a certain range, and you have penalties if you don't do it. Can you tell us a bit what your daily business looks like in the desert, being 150 kilometers away from the next city and monitoring and operating such a big plant?
Yes, every day I wake up in the morning and look how much was the last day's radiation, how much we collected, how much we were able to get into the process. And basically, those are key indicators every day. And I need answers when they don't, are the ones that we, expect. Because basically, by the end of the month, we have to pay back the banks. We have to pay for the, the people, the wages, and supplies. So this has to work, and it's a constant occupation because many things happen every day, and many of the things basically don't even have to do with us, but basically from the process side. And I think that kind of how we have been able to cope with this challenge is that we are in charge of almost the whole process. That's including the heat exchangers. Okay, so we're the ones that are most, sort of worried in charge of that these things work, much more than them. So the good thing though is that the efficiency on the energy efficiency of the whole process has increased dramatically because there's someone really interested that this works, and that's us. So every day again is checking pH, checking for soiling, checking for if there's something happening with the heat exchanger, if there's something to change on the seals of the pumps, or even the boilers, because we still use the boilers, particularly on some hours and depending on what happens, because sometimes we have an installed capacity, but then if something happens with the process, you need to put a lot of energy on a short period of time. And that sometimes means to use the boilers. And so then you have to be very much in contact with the process people to try to forecast what's going to happen. And that's an everyday challenge.
You said soiling. That means that the dust sticks on the collectors, and you are talking about daily cleaning of collectors. How should we imagine that? This seems like a really big, tough work.
There were some things that and being very honest, we thought that we knew that there was a challenge on soiling. The other one had to do with working in the mining environment in the middle of them. That's another issue. But on soiling, we knew that we would have soiling, but we never realized how much this would really affect things and how. So we're constantly cleaning, every day, constantly cleaning, and we have done.
Is it personal or is it automized? Is it a robot running around or?
Half and half. So yes, so there's a space to improve. We have been improving. We have doing better brushes, better ways, some sensors and things, and there's a space to improve it, more. But basically, what happens, and particularly in Chile, the dust is a mixture of chalk, plaster, and silica salt dust. So it's really it's a chemical bond with the glass. So it's super difficult, and you have winds every day. So you have swirls, like with 120 kilometers wind, and then if you have condensation, it gets worse because it's really sticks. So I would say we have more or less. We have dominated the problem. We haven't really. Again, there's a. We could improve things. It could be done better. We know there's some space for that. But at least the problem is more or less kept in line.
And I think we have to note at this point that you have really nice yields. I mean, the whole world is challenged on the yields you are doing because you reach 1,150 kilowatt hours per square meter, and in Europe we usually calculate 450. So that is really, it's due to the nice irradiation. So it means that even with your soiling, but your cleaning is really successful as well. We can summarize that somehow.
No, I think it can be better, and it has to be better for the economics of the plant. Because remember, we made here. There was a challenge. There was a bet here on the investors that we would be able to deliver, a number of gigawatt hours per year, and that depends a lot on these things. They have other things also, return temperatures and heat exchanges, but basically soiling is the main factor, and so. Again, it can be better, and our goal is to make it better on that. Anyway, and there was a question beforehand that said, why did you go big at that time? And I think there's someone I also have to mention. In this case, it's Hans Griedhoff. I don't know if you know Hans from Sunmark. Hans actually was also a key guy on this. He was behind the design and also it's not also the design but also like the logistics to be able to assemble and build this and because it's a one-time capex. If you have it wrong from day number one, you will never be able to get back your money back. So it's very, very important, that thing. And Hans had the experience. I mean, so he had built several plants. At that time was, I don't remember, like 30 to 40 installations all over the world. So he knew more or less what will. Again, mining was a challenge because he hadn't never, encountered this kind of difficulties, having to procedures, paperwork, and lots of restrictions. But basically, the fundamentals, it was a little bit like a marginal growth of what he had done. And I think that was a key guy. So we had a good team to make it.
Well, thank you. And what I really wish is that we have further news from your region, that other mines will follow this really success story. I wish you good luck with that, and thank you for the talk.
Well, thank you very much, and hope you are very successful, and you've been a great help on this industry, so thank you.